even though he was like crazy and toxic, on the other side there's like that passion and that love. So like he was.
Hey Cookies, Hannah here. I have some unboxings for you all because your girl has been shopping a little bit. So thought I'd just do this with you guys. So I have been taking Seed for a while. I wanted to like test it out, you know, and it has changed the poop game. I am honestly a little constipated of a person, but this makes me go regularly. Okay, this is like so TMI, but you know when they're like the opposite of constipated and you're like, oh my god, there's like no, it's just dropping straight down. This will normal you out. It's a symbiotic, so it's a pre and probiotic. They have the technology where it's a double capsule situation, and so it's making sure that your body's actually able to absorb all the good stuff in there. And so I would highly recommend. And then I did a bad thing, but maybe good thing. Joyce, Allie, Kara, and Diane a few months back for my birthday got me these beautiful Sandy Liang ballet flats that I've really been wanting. Hold on, actually, let me go grab them. Look at how cute. I am obsessed with them, but I always say that the best gifts are those things that you would never buy yourself, and these shoes are exactly that. And so my beautiful friends got me them, and so thank you guys for that birthday present. But speaking of Sandy, I bought a necklace a while ago. It was like a little choker situation. Got it. Really thought it was cute, but I knew I wasn't going to wear it a lot, and so I decided to return it. And so I had some store credit, you know? So I basically didn't spend any money. Oh my gosh, guys, look at how cute this packaging is. Like, this brings me back to my childhood. Oh my gosh. I understand why everyone's like, can you see it? Can you see it? Please return to Sandy Liang. How freaking cute. Oh my god, I'm gonna put it on right now. Guys, look at how cute that is. Stop it. But that is it for the haul. But actually, one of my personal fashion inspos is joining us on the podcast today. Her name is Ashley PENG. You may know her as Lil Sashimi. It's like sashimi, but it's shashimi. Or as Ash Sesame on Instagram. She did the Apple Podcasts Women's History Month cover, and she's actually going to be doing a new cover for the podcast. I'm super duper excited to introduce Ashley. Yeah, Ashley and I met like maybe a year ago, maybe a little bit over a year ago.
Yeah, I think so. Probably
over a year ago through work and whatnot. But you know, whenever we go out, I'm like, oh, Ashley's having a good time, I'm having a good time.
I know, like every time I see you I get excited when we go out, because it's like at these events where
it's all boys.
Yeah, it's all boys,
and they don't know how to dance. Like they literally just kind of stand there, and I'm like, why are you out?
I know,
if you're just gonna stand there.
Like they just want to act cool on the side, you know, and just like be
mysterious. You know, speaking about boys, I know we talked a little bit before this about your dating experiences, but you know, wanted to get a little bit, you know, more context, more insight from you, because I feel like you have had some unique opportunities to learn and grow.
Oh yes, of course.
And so I guess to just start things off, what is your opinion on jealousy in relationships? Do you think that jealousy is healthy? Is there a limit to it? Like, what is the boundary of jealousy in a relationship?
It's definitely really layered, you know, because there's jealousy in, I don't know, different sort of avenues in the relationship, whether that's like with somebody else coming into the picture, or like that sort of like insecurity of somebody else, or
like, am I gonna get cheated on?
Yeah, exactly. Like that insecurity. There's also your partner, maybe they're doing better than you, or you know, or you're doing better than them, and they're kind of like jealous in that way.
Wait, I've never thought about that.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that too much, but when it happened to me, it kind of just like, oh shit, like they're jealous of like what I'm doing or, you know, what I'm doing in my life outside of them, you know, so that's like a different kind of like layer of jealousy that, you know, that happens in a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like I've definitely been on, I don't know, both sides of that type of jealousy as well as, you know, like the jealousy of somebody else coming into the picture, that type of insecurity.
Right. Okay. So I guess like, yeah, let's expand because I've never thought about being jealous of like a partner doing better than me.
Right.
But I can completely imagine it happening in a lot of relationships because, right, like you want to feel like you are adequate, like on the same level as your partner in a sense, or like hopefully they're doing better. But if they're doing too much better than you, then it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Are you gonna like,
or you feel left out, you know? It's like, this is like, I thought we were in this together and, you know, so with my first ex, the crazy guy.
Okay, we'll label him the crazy one.
I don't know. What should we give him? Should we give him a nickname? Like Nutmeg.
Okay. So Nutmeg.
Nutmeg.
Yeah, Nutmeg.
So with Nutmeg, I was with him when I was like in college. I had no idea what was going on. I was just like a premature thing.
premature
adult.
She's in the NICU. Yeah.
He was a high school dropout, so he didn't go to college either, and he didn't work. So there was me kind of just going to college, you know.
Right, you graduated high school.
Yeah, graduated high school. I was, you know, studying a lot, working a lot on, you know, projects in school and stuff like that. And at the same time, I had a group of friends at school that I would work with, study with, etc.
Right.
And I didn't have that much time sometimes to like hang out with, Nutmeg. And he would be jealous that I had all these different like extracurricular activities to do, and like different social groups that I would get into just like with college friends and like parties and stuff.
Right.
And, maybe it was kind of my fault that I didn't really include him, but he would just kind of be on the side, like low key upset.
What about me?
Yeah. What about me? You know? And yeah.
Wait, I think that is a super common experience when like your partner is in a different life stage as you. Like when they're not busy, I feel like that's when like fighting just inevitably happens, because it's like they have so much time to think about how little time like you're spending with them, and they're like, oh, am I being left behind, like those sort of feelings. And so that completely makes sense. But right on your end, it's like, wait, do you expect me to not hang out with friends, like make friends? Like this is college, like it's just what you do.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like the nature of college. Like I tried so hard to like encourage him to like do better, like why don't you go back to school, or why don't you look into something else that you want to do. Like I would spend so much time giving him these crazy pep talks that went like nowhere in the end, because like he didn't want to take any advice, he was just, I don't care, but it got to a point where that jealousy kind of goes in a toxic direction, which obviously it did for him. Nutmeg became really like controlling and possessive, because maybe he felt like he wasn't in control of like his life, or like, my life, or, our lives together. So it kind of like that jealousy kind of just like became really unchecked and crazy, where they kind of turn around and want to like be like, you can't do this, or I'm getting upset you're doing that, and you're not including me in this.
So like, what did he not let you do, if I can ask?
He did not like when I hung out with my friends, because it got to that point, where it's like, I don't like you hang out with so and so because like this is gonna happen. Or he would start making like assumptions of what I was doing like in my time outside of me and his time. So it kind of like, that's what I mean, like the jealousy kind of goes unchecked, and there's no like effective communication, because that time in college there is no like effective, open and honest communication.
Yeah, it's just like we fucking fight, and then like barely anything gets resolved, but like you're trying your best, because you don't know any better.
Yeah, we don't know any better. So that was kind of like it for me and him. And then slowly I kind of stepped back, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna like attend to you and like try to make this work. Obviously it didn't work out in the end, because I felt so like trapped and controlled,
like suffocated. Yeah, that makes sense.
It was pretty like I don't know, it was an ugly situation.
Yeah. And so I guess like around that time when, you know, he was like, oh, I don't like you hanging out with your friends and whatnot, like, did you feel isolated? Like, what were you feeling during that time?
I definitely did feel a slight sense of isolation, just because school was an anchor, I guess, for me to, you know, come back into like my life and my reality. Like, because I would still try to fight for my own, like, freedom.
For my life.
Yeah, for my life. Because I was like, I'm paying a lot to go to school. You know, I need to do well because, you know, I have a lot, like, my parents are, like, expecting of. Yeah. So, you know, at the same time, like, I don't know how I did it. I was just, like, try to split my time as, like, equally as I could and try to get things done, like, on my school side and, like, friend side and then with him, you know. Right. But it was a really, like, weird split life.
Because, like, I assume he wasn't like hanging out with your friends if he didn't like them, you know? Like, it's almost like, oh, okay, I know I have to keep you guys separate now. And I don't know, like, I feel like whenever I feel like I can't mix friend groups, I get hella anxious. And so I can't imagine experiencing that with a partner.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah,
because you want to experience those same experiences together, right? But
it's like, I want everyone to be friends and get along. And
exactly. But it's like, every time I would bring him around, it would be some situation, some accusation of something.
Oh,
you know,
my
like,
gosh.
I saw you looking at him a certain way, or like, why were you guys talking for so long? You know, so it was just like, it was too much. Like, I couldn't have them together.
Oh yeah, no,
so
for sure.
I was going crazy. Nutmeg was driving me crazy. So
oh yeah. Let's get into like I guess more of the crazy. Like, were there experiences where you're like, oh shit, like it kind of pulls you out of it and you're like, wait, this isn't normal? Like, this is crazy?
Dude, I have so many, like, not crazy, kind of crazy situations. And I should have left after all of those, you know, after the first one started. But I just kept going. I don't know why. Maybe it's like Stockholm Syndrome. I don't know. I was just stuck. I was, like, in love with this man that was killing me, you know? And I'm sure a lot of people can, like, you know, relate to that. Especially, like, their first love.
Wait, okay. Okay, something about the first love. Literally, I think, like, even now, looking back, like, a part of you is just like, oh, I still, like, care for them.
Unfortunately,
despite all of the, you know, like, you just can't get it back.
It is tough. I don't know if it's because of that emotional connection that you have with them that's, like, really rises above all the shitty things. But, you know, once you, like, open yourself up and, like, you know, share that emotional connection, well, at least for me, it's, like, really hard to, like, cut off.
Yeah.
You know? Going back to the stories. So there's this one time we were just chilling in my dorm. Like, that's what we do all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I had this, like, really cool, like, poster that a guy that I used to talk to gave to me. And it was, like, from an artist that I really admired, you know, and he had a mini version of it. So it's like, oh, like, I'll give this to you. And I was, like, so excited because I was like, wow, like, thank you so much. This is a gift I actually really, really like.
Right.
And I put it in my room. And one day, Nutmeg and I were chilling, and he kind of looked up at the wall, and he was like, what is that? And I was like, what do you mean? It's a poster.
It's a poster.
It's like,
decorating my room.
Yeah, exactly.
Interior designer.
Exactly. I'm like, I need to have something on these blank white dorm walls.
Yeah, you know? Exactly.
He's like, but where did you get it from? I'm like, oh, you know, just a friend gave it to me, because I had to be really careful. Oh, that's another thing. You have to be careful in the way you, like, talk too.
Oh, like, you're always having to, like, think, like, is this going to lead to a fight?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I present what I'm going to say in the most, like, receivable, neutral way possible.
Right.
Without them, like, you know.
Yeah, and, like, not be asked questions after, like, the follow-up questions, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it felt really like I was walking on eggshells most of the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, it's a friend who gave it to me. And he's like, which friend? It's like, oh, it's just someone in the past. You know, I don't really talk to them anymore.
Right.
Etc. And he was like, just got up on the bed, ripped that shit down, and then just started ripping it. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was so mad. So,
well, yeah, it's like, that's that's my stuff.
Yeah, that's my stuff. First of all, like, what are you doing turning up in my house that I pay for and like ripping shit off the walls?
That's crazy.
It was crazy. And I was like, I couldn't even like process like this was happening. Like this is my boyfriend who's doing this to my room, my house. Like, you know, he's being so disrespectful. Right. So I picked up the pieces and I was like, what is wrong with you? Yeah. And then I was like, you know, it's fine. I can like still stick it together. It's okay. You know,
she's crafty.
Yeah. I can just put it together. Exactly. Yeah. Like I had a box full of like art supplies. I was like, do this. And then he was like, oh, you're going to put it together again? So he like locked me out of my room.
What do you mean?
He just shows me. I was like, okay, go over there. Closes the door.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, what? I'm like banging on the door. Let me in. And then I can hear him like tearing up all into like little pieces. And then a minute later, I hear a flush, like a toilet flush. And I was
You're joking.
I wish I was joking.
Okay, it's crazy, but also like funny because like I'm imagining him just going like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was just like, wow, like I should break up with this guy. Right. I should break up with this guy.
Why am I dealing with this?
Yeah. I was like, I was so hurt and just confused.
Right.
I was like, he's actually crazy.
Yeah. And then also like him doing that without any confirmation that this was a guy I used to talk. Like, what if it's a friend that you had a falling out with? Like, what what the hell?
It didn't matter. It just like, he just told himself the story he wanted to hear.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It was just he was a cloudy judgment. I don't know. He was crazy. So yeah, I need to break up with him.
Right. And so did you?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. And I was upset at myself for not even just like leaving the situation. But he had a good like habit of apologizing and bringing that up to the max, you know, that he's gonna change. He knows what he did wrong. He said he was sorry.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll give you another chance. And then another chance.
Right. But then also I get that because it's like, if they're good at apologizing, like not that it outweighs the thing, but it's like, oh, at least you're self-aware.
Exactly.
Like at least you recognize that like this was wrong versus like, I think it's a lot easier to identify when someone's like, quote, toxic when like they're very like, no, I'm just going to be toxic and never apologize.
Right.
And so I can understand why you were like really like confused.
It was very confusing. Yeah. Now that you are talking about that, I mean, in my like gut, I knew he needed some sort of healing, but he also was self-aware, like you said, about what he did wrong. And he was the first to apologize and to own up to it.
Right.
So it was like, you know, how do you know if like this is okay, he's actually gonna change and like, and he knows what he did wrong, or, you know, he's just saying that to keep you around.
Oh gosh. And then you said something so interesting, feeling like you have to like pep talk your boyfriend to do more with their lives or to want more with their lives. Yeah. Like how exhausting.
I will never do that again. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah. Like
it was really tiring.
Because if they don't have like the ambition or the want or the need, I feel like there's no way to like change that about them.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely not. Like you said, I think it has to come from within.
Right.
But if it's just not there to begin with, then you can't like just embed it into them or talk your way into them, you know, to have it. And that was a pretty big waste of time, to be honest.
Learning experiences.
Yeah. But at least I got him to the point where he would do Uber driving and Uber Eats to make some income.
Okay, yeah, he's making a little bit of money.
So I was like, you know, you can do a more simple kind of job. You know, you have a car and you can do something.
And you
make
can
money
use
with
it.
a car.
Yeah. And at that time, gas was way cheaper.
Yeah, it was way cheaper. Yeah. So I would, you know what was crazy? I just remember like I would go with him on these Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash drives. Yeah. Like during school. During like even up to like 4 a.m. when you know I would be studying, he would drive to my dorm and be like, come with me to like do these deliveries. And I was like, okay, like, you know what, I'm gonna show my support,
right?
And I would like do these things and then go to school the next day at like 9 a.m. I was so tired.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I did a lot.
Yeah, like you want to be supportive of your partner, but then now looking at it in hindsight is like,
yeah,
I did a lot.
I did a little too much.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, it's because like you want to support your partner and who you love to like the best of your abilities, you know?
Right.
And I wanted the same back. And, you know, he would obviously do his best. So I wanted to reciprocate that.
Yeah.
Because even though he was like crazy and toxic, but on the other side of like, you know, the toxic, there's like that passion and that love.
Oh.
So like he was a big like love bomber, you know. So he would get me flowers all the time, get me food, you know, like drive me places, like take me like shopping. But like obviously I shop with my own money, but you know, he would drive me.
I was like, wait, because you have expensive taste, and I know this.
No, not back then. Back then, no.
Yeah. In the people that you dated after that relationship, like, did you find yourself dating kind of like similar people in terms of like passion and like, you know, they were really good to you, but then also like that comes with the, you know, a little bit of crazy sometimes.
That is true. So after we had ended, I moved away to New York. So like I got really far because it was just so toxic.
Yeah.
To the point where I knew that if I didn't physically get out of that state,
oh my gosh,
I would be stuck with this crazy man. So right after I graduated, I just applied for internships like
literally as far as possible.
Yeah, on the other side of the coast.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is I didn't tell him I was leaving until like 2 days before because I knew he would go insane.
Oh
so
my gosh.
It was like a quick
like you're like, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Bye. And so I guess like, right, sometimes people like they think that running away from your problems is a bad thing, but in your case, like it seemed like it was a really good thing. And so while you were there, like, did you find yourself like trying to unlearn things? Like, were you going on dates? Like, what was the experience like healing from like an unhealthy relationship?
So I think just moving away, like that was number one, just having a new environment and being able to kind of distract yourself in a sense or just, you know, explore.
Yeah.
And also because I had an internship. So I was really focused on, you know, my job at the time, like doing well, getting situated. So there was like a lot of new stuff on my plate and also, you know, meeting new friends and coworkers and I don't know. It was just like I was feeding myself the things that made me happy. And, you know, putting that energy of pep talk that I did for him into myself. So it was like redirecting that energy back into myself and like feeding that to myself. And I was really happy, you know, for the first time in a long time. And it was fun. And then eventually I did get into another relationship.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, and it was a much, much healthier relationship, which obviously would come with problems because, you know, because of me experiencing so much like trauma and toxicity that I didn't really know how to properly like be in a relationship.
Yeah. That's
but
true.
I learned a lot from that guy of what is a normal and healthy relationship. So it was really interesting because I went from a crazy nutty nutmeg man
right
to a really, you know, he was a very emotionally mature and knew how to just be a gentleman, you know. And but I mean it didn't work out, but
but like it was a learning lesson.
It was a learning lesson.
Because I feel like, I don't know, I don't expect, I of course it can happen, but like I wouldn't expect someone to go from an unhealthy relationship to completely healthy and like be able to process all that. Because like, right, there's so much unlearning to do. Like it's like, oh shit, I can hang out with my friends. Like, should I be allowing you to hang out with your friend? You know, like those sort of things.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of a learning curve. I know now looking back, it's kind of like what I needed, you know, going to New York and experiencing all of those things. It kind of just made me realize, you know, I don't know, like people can change, I guess, you know, I don't know, I guess for me, because I thought like because of that relationship, I was just doomed to have like, you know, bad luck in relationships forever. But I got into a healthy relationship and it was like, oh, okay, like this is what it's supposed to be like. And
Right.
Yeah, like I can do this, and he's telling me like, oh, there's certain things that maybe you don't have to react this way, or, this isn't really normal. And I'll be like, oh, okay, so like you said, I would unlearn some of these toxic thingies. And I am by no means perfect.
Oh yeah, nobody
even
is.
to this day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but seeing like both sides of that like spectrum, it's like definitely I have like a kind of like history to kind of like gauge, or like
yeah.
I don't know how to explain.
No, that makes sense, because I think, right, it was nutmeg was your first relationship, right? And so like you don't know if something's normal or not, and so like your scale is fucked.
Yeah,
like there was
my
no
normal
scale.
was like there was no scale. It was just like fucked up. You know?
I mean, you made a comment like, you realized in your new healthy relationship that you were like you can do this, like you're capable. But then, right, I hear from like so many like close friends that like they went from one toxic relationship to another toxic relationship, and it's just like your scale gets even more fucked up, because it's just like you've never experienced something healthy. And so I'm glad you're not turned off from love.
I did get lucky, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, after the math. That is true, though. I feel like it is hard to kind of like figure out like who is like right for you and who is wrong, because like you want to associate that like love and passion with somebody with a similar type of like personality, so you get confused. But I just knew that it was going to be the opposite for me, because it was horrible. And even though it was my first relationship, I knew it was
not okay.
Yeah, it was not good. I was like, Ashley, this is not the type of man for you. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you need to look for something way opposite.
You're like, let me take everything, make it opposite.
Exactly.
Perfect man.
Yeah. And then it was like, it like worked out,
Right.
So everything, like if I sense like some of these, I don't want to say like red flags, but kind of like, warning
signs.
Warning signs.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not right, so it definitely has helped me tend to like be a little more picky, but in the best way possible, I guess, for good intention, good reason.
Yeah, maybe it is good, in the end, that you experienced a bad relationship, because now you can like few dates in be like, oh, there's something off. Yeah,
there's, it's just like the boobies feeling. Like there's a 70% chance that he's toxic. it's just the vibes.
Yeah.
Don't know how to explain it, but for the people that kind of get it, like you know what I mean, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, so okay, post nutmeg, post crazy relationship, your second healthy relationship. Did you ever feel like it was boring? Because
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yes. Unfortunately, yes. Because it's so like stable and there's like no major like drama or arguments going on. It's just like it's flatlined.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, right? Yeah. Just so neutral.
It's like code blue. I'm just kidding.
Meredith Grey.
It is unfortunate. I remember even having this conversation with like some of my friends before about, the relationship feeling kind of bland or boring, or, it's just not the same. It doesn't have that same type of passion.
Right.
And that's something that I also felt like I had to unlearn as well from the toxic one, because going through the toxic ones, which I'm sure you've like been through with the ups and downs, it's like you kind of get addicted to that, like the, people say the highs and lows of
the trauma.
Yeah, it's just like you're feeding for that high, and then once everything's back down or like whatever, you want to like amp that up again, whether that's like through like happiness or like negativity. It's just like
just something. I need a change.
I need a feeling. Like I need that crazy feeling to like just, I don't know, feel something. So going from that to like just a more like stable relationship is just like, where's that high that I'm searching for? It's kind of like that addictive quality you're used to having that you no longer have anymore, and you're like, is this supposed to be right? Is this normal? Does this mean I don't like them anymore, or I don't love them, or they don't love me because they're not, aggressively, showcasing like how much like, I either hurt them or how much I love them,
Yeah. I guess one thing to add is like the boredom after the turbulence. I think I went through this literally like 2 months ago, because
that's pretty recent.
Yeah, very recent, because after I got out of my relationship like a year and a half ago ish. Oh shit, it might be 2 years now. Yeah, I don't remember.
I didn't know you were in a relationship with like.
It was during pandemic.
The pandemic ones.
Yes, yes, of course. You know, classic.
I'm also one of those pandemic relationship
but she made
babies.
it out.
For now, we'll see. Okay. I'm kidding.
And so after that relationship, right, I was like, okay, let me healed. Got on the dating apps, and like, right, I had been going on dates and whatnot for like a year. And so I was very much used to like non-committal things, because it was like, we're just talking, like we have to go on dates to get to know each other, to see if we want to be in a relationship. And so because there's no label, you're kind of in the gray area, like I would be talking to people, I wouldn't get responses back for like 2-3 days, and then it would be like, oh, like should we meet, like I'm so excited to see you. And so it was a lot of up and down, because you know, like when they're not texting you, I'm like, oh shit,
right,
I'm being ghosted, or like, right, like my brain goes to the most extreme thing, and then as soon as they are like giving me words of affirmation or like setting things up with me, I'm like, oh my god,
like goes back to that. He loves me.
No, literally, I'm like, oh my god, he's obsessed with me.
No, seriously, I feel that.
Yeah. And so because it was so up and down, I was like, okay, I'm like actually over dating, whatever. And so I have been taking a break, but during this break, I am so flatlined. Like I did not have emotions, happy or sad. And I literally think it's because I was bored.
Right.
In comparison to the ups and downs of dating.
Right.
And so I would wake up and I'm like, it is so weird to not have any emotion.
Right.
Like so weird. And I'm finally out of that now. Like I'm finally like okay, because I think I've reset it. But it's interesting that like I had similar feelings and experiences when I wasn't like in a relationship.
Right. Yeah. I know. I was going to say that that's pretty interesting, because like you can still experience that like toxic high and lows, like not even being in a relationship, you know, just like even in like, I guess party setting too, like if you're a partier, or like, you know, if you were constantly on the dating apps and like looking for that like kind of like affirmative like words of affirmation or whatever. Like I feel like, I don't know, maybe just as like humans, like I don't know, we have like sort of addictive tendencies to like, what is it, like dopamine or like serotonin?
I think
like
it's dopamine. Dopamine,
yeah, to that, like whatever brings you like this like pleasure or happiness,
right?
Like,
or like extreme, just like overthinking, sadness. Yeah. Wait, that's so true.
Yeah, but also I feel like that's pretty healthy though, because we're in that like age where there's so much overstimulation, and just like we feel like we constantly need to be distracted by something, someone, whatever it is, you know. So even just like taking yourself out of that and just like resetting, exactly. It's just like in a sense probably it's boring because you're not like feeding into all these little like distractions and things, but I think it's also, it's a good thing to be bored, like to be bored or boring, I guess. Yeah, for lack of a better word. But
no, I literally need to get used to it a little bit more, because I still think like now that I'm no longer flatlining and it's going up and down, I feel like I'm like, I'll get to a point where I burn myself out. Oh yeah, you know?
I think that always happens at the end of this thingy, you know, like it naturally goes that way, and then you like you need a break, you need to cut off,
right,
you know. So right, just like, oh okay, I would even tell my ex at that time, the nice one, I don't know, what should the nice one be,
like a paprika?
Okay, paprika, yes. I would tell paprika, like I would tell him that, you know, why is this like relationship so boring? Like, you know, because I would question it too, and I wanted to have a open conversation, not to be like, you're so boring, you're making everything boring, but why is it that I feel this way, you know? And he was, again, like very emotionally intelligent and mature, probably even more so than I was at the time. He would relay back to me, well, is it because with you and your ex, you know, you had a lot of, you know, crazy ups and downs and stuff. And here, like, when we have problems, we just communicate. Like, we don't need to yell. We don't need to thrash and go crazy. It's just like, we can be two adults and have a conversation. And if it's, you know, boredom coming from that, not having that, you know, that's kind of like something you need to think about and reflect that's not normal, you know.
Whoa.
It's like, yeah. And if it's boring because like we're just physically not doing anything, like going out or like, you know, doing activities, then that's something, you know, we can look into and fix.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, like, yeah, you're
like,
right.
You're so healthy.
Yeah, you're so healthy. Where did you come from? Like, who taught you? Where's your mother? I have to thank her.
I know, literally. Thank you so much, Mrs. Paprika.
Mrs. P.
I just chose a different spice.
A different spice. All these different spices
in your life. Okay, but now you are happily in a relationship. I've met him. He's great. And so there's hope.
Yeah, there is hope. Unfortunately, me and the Paprika didn't work out.
Right.
For, you know, lifestyle reasons. Obviously, I'm back here and he doesn't live here.
Right.
But yeah, then I met a wonderful, handsome man by the name of Milan.
He's so tall.
Yeah, he's pretty tall. Yeah, he cooks. He's tall. He's clean.
Oh my gosh. You guys travel together? He loves to travel, right?
He loves to travel.
Yeah. I feel like I know so much about you guys.
Oh yeah. No, he is really the best. He's honestly so sweet. Yes, there, you know, I think I still have some residual like trauma or like toxic tendencies, but I think, you know, at this point in my life, it's a lot better, I guess, because of all the experiences I've been through. Yeah, and for the most part, I would say we are pretty healthy.
Yeah.
It's pretty boring because there's no crazy.
I love that. I love a boring relationship.
Yeah, you're right.
Honestly.
Now I do. Now I'm like obsessed with something that's boring.
Right.
Like, you know what? It's probably most likely healthier than, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do you think right now you're kind of like in that phase of, you know, looking for someone to be in a relationship with?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Or are you still just kind of like, you know, I'm figuring things out right now? And
I think for now I'm figuring things out. Because this last round of dating burnt me the heck out. Like, because I would just, I believe in at least 3 dates. Unless like the first one is like a really like a hard no. I will go on at least 3 dates with a guy.
That's pretty good. It's reasonable.
Yeah, because like, I don't know, first date, like they're always freaking nervous.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's true.
As you should be.
Both parties are kind of like nervous.
Yeah, like not
really
yourselves.
Themselves. Yeah, I feel that.
And so I'll go on 3 dates with people, but then I think like, I will see multiple people if it just so happens to be like that. And then I'm like, oh, this is a lot.
It is a lot.
You know?
It is a lot of like shelling out, you know, your social battery draining.
Yeah.
Like getting ready.
Going
there.
Exactly.
Having this conversation, eating food. Yeah. Like, what do we do after? You know?
Literally. I'm like, oh my God. I'm always so awkward when I hug them bye. I'm like, oh yeah. God. Or like if I don't want to hug them, like I'm like, that's even more. Or like,
do you like the side?
A little side hug, and then they go for full hug, and I'm like, oh God.
Like, that's what
yeah, get away from me. And then like the aftermath of like having to update my friend. Like I love updating my friends, but then like it can get tiring, like, you know, just like it's just shelling out information.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, do I text you? Are you gonna text me? Who's planning the next date? Are we having a next date? And then it's like, what if you choose a shitty place?
Right.
But then I want to be in my princess era and not plan, but then like I know it's a shitty place.
I know.
And so how do I manipulate you to choose a better spot?
There's just so many layers to it. With like not even like that's like for one person, but think about if you were like dating 3 people at a time.
Exactly.
There's just too many.
Exactly. And then like
I feel tired even thinking about it.
It's a little exhausting. And so for now, I'm not looking, because you know how they say you find the one when you're not looking. So guys, I'm not looking.
She's not looking, guys.
I'm not looking, everyone. Okay, so last question. Do you have advice for either younger Ashley at that time, or for anybody who like is like, maybe my relationship isn't that healthy?
Yeah, I don't know, like, god damn, just have some self-respect. You know what I mean? Just honestly, you gotta set those boundaries no matter how hard it is. And it does take discipline, I would say. A lot of like self-discipline. I wish I was more aware of that when I was younger, because I always felt like I put my partner first before like my happiness and like my health.
Right.
But sometimes people are just not worth that for you.
Oh yeah. There's like chivalry and like putting other people before you, but not if it requires you to like neglect yourself.
Yeah. It was a lot of I wouldn't say self-neglect, but it kind of was.
Sorry, I put those words in your mouth a little bit.
I was just feeding someone else's happiness, and that will never like really work out in the end.
Oh yeah. So, yeah. Fill your cup before others.
Exactly. That's a really beautiful way to put it.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
You're so eloquent. No, I love it.
You put those in my mouth. She did it again.
Okay, wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Of course. I feel like there was so much learning.
Yeah, there was a lot we talked about. I feel like there's so much more like to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Yes, because I do have more crazy stories.
Oh yeah. She has lots to share, guys.
Yeah.
But you guys can go ahead and follow Ashley at Lil Shashimi on Instagram, Ash Sesame on Instagram.
If you want to go ahead, by all means.
No, please do, because she is literally my fashion icon. I'm always like, what does she have on?
Oh my gosh, well, my Instagram is private, so you gotta hit that request.
So request, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. If you're cool. I don't know. I gotta feel the vibes first before I accept it.
And then, you guys can find us on Instagram and TikTok at bulgogi.podcast, on Twitter at bulgogi podcast, me on all platforms at HANAKATTT, and don't forget to rate, review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and then be sure to submit questions on Spotify and on YouTube, and make sure to check out the show notes for any details that were in this episode. Yes. Okay. Bye.